The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. All right, so this is the second book I'm reviewing in the series that I'm doing called the Easton Press Masterpieces of Science Fiction. I did Childhood's End, and now this is the second book in the series. So, H.G. Wells, most people have heard of him. He's famous for books like The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, War of the Worlds. This book, The Island of Dr. Moreau, was written in 1896, and I believe it was his third published novel. So, most people are probably familiar with the movie that has Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer. I know I saw it years ago. And I kind of remember it being pretty good, but after looking up some reviews of it, I'm not sure it is, and I'm not sure I'm going to rewatch it or anything. So I don't know how much it differs from that. I've never read this book before, so it was my first time through. Now, this was written in 1896, like I said, and definitely some of the prose and the writing style shows its age a bit, but not that much. I mean, first off, it's pretty short. This oversized paperback was like 190 pages, but I think most online sites have this book at around 160 pages or something. So it's a very easy read, even though some of the language in the writing is dated. Because at its essence, I mean, there's some science fiction elements, but it's really like an adventure story, and it's got some horror elements, and it's got a few science fiction elements in it. The the writing style, even though it's a bit dated, and the use of description so much, just describing each action that's happening instead of trying to paint this visual picture in our head, which I think is the goal of most authors these days. Even with that, it's a fun read. I've read a few other authors and works from this era, and it just brings back some nostalgia for me. And I think overall it still holds up today. Now, when you really think about this book being written in the 1800s, you imagine the people reading it back then, it probably blew their minds. So it's all relative, and you can see how much influence H.G. Wells had on a lot of modern day authors from these works, including this one. So the book in general, I'm not going to get, this isn't going to be a long video, and I'm not going to go into a lot of depth. A guy gets kind of shipwrecked in a way and winds up with these people, and they go to this island, and most people know the main guy on this island is kind of trying to alter animals through vivisection. So while they're alive, he's doing these experiments on them and trying to accelerate their evolution or guide their evolution. So our main character, the whole book is written through his point of view, and he comes in and out of terms with these people. They're friendly, and then they're not, and then he escapes. There's just this whole adventure and kind of horror aspect to this. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a fun read. I think if you've read some other H.G. Wells books and you haven't read this one, put it on your list. When I first looked at this list of the masterpieces of science fiction, I saw certain very dated books like this on the list, and I wasn't real excited about them. But now that I'm kind of into the book, and into the list, and I've read a few other books, these are great palate cleansers. If it doesn't require a lot of deep thinking, there's not a lot of characters and plot to keep your mind completely focused on. You can kind of just read, and it was very pleasurable. So that's about all I'm going to say there. Pick this book up and give it a read. It's really short. You could probably read it in a day. I was kind of busy over the weekend. I thought I would get it done a little earlier, but The weather was nice, and we managed to go out and get a cabin out in the woods over the weekend. So got to enjoy some almost 80-degree weather here in Montana and do some reading next to a little creek, which was pretty amazing. But the weather was so nice, ended up spending a little more time playing around than reading, but that's to be expected. So book two's down. Right now I'm reading, I just started Greg Bear Blood Music. This will be book number 3 on the list. So that'll probably be the next review coming out. So keep an eye out for that, and thanks for watching.